It is imperative that you hear exactly what I'm saying right now. They don't want me to be saying this right now, but I have to say it. This is very important. The weight of your family and your own health is on the line. And I don't know if they're listening or not, but I have to say this anyways because they've jabbed me and they're jabbing too many people. And they don't want people to know about what's really happening. And we have to actually know what's going on. We have to break free because what's on the line here is not just our health, it's the health of our whole society, of our children. And what's going on here has been suppressed and they don't want us to know. But with the truth that's happening, it's a calamity and it's been infectious, it's been spreading. The powerful forces of these dark souls that have been trying to suck the health dry from greed, they try to cover it over with a cloak of innocence. And many people are falling for it. And so many people are paying the price of their greed in their health, in their medical bills, and they're decreased in function. Families are being impacted. It has to stop. It's absolutely outrageous, everything that's happening, from the pharmaceutical scams that aren't really bringing health, to the food scams that are just draining people of health. All of it is just a scam for money. It has to stop. And people are waking up. People are changing. People are realizing what's really going on. People aren't as naive. And the power of the internet for us to communicate and connect with each other and to break the lies, it's happening and they hate it. And it's happening more and more and more. You see, in the next 10 to 20 years, there's going to be a complete revolution because this spread of information is causing people to wake up out of the matrix. You see, people know what's really happening with their so-called medicine and with their so-called food. People are waking up. People know what's really going on in other parts of the world where the government isn't as corrupt. There aren't poisons that are being put into the food. There isn't the lobbying of these big businesses, big food, big pharma, to make it still legal for them to put these poisons into us so that they can make money. It's not happening in other places of the world, and people know that. And people are very savvy about it. And so there's an underground movement, and everybody who is part of it is making a difference. You see, it's not going to be the same in 20 years. People aren't going to be supporting all of this fake healthcare, the fake medicine. There's going to be a complete revolution. There's going to be a movement back to using nutrition and mindfulness and healthy mindsets rather than looking for fake drugs from fake doctors who have fake education, who are really just indoctrinated. You see, people are going to be preventing the need for these fake surgeries that produce fake results. All the coronary bypass surgeries are not going to be necessary because people's hearts aren't going to be so drawn down with sludge from all the GMOs, the fake oils, the sugars, the stress. You see, people are evolving. People are understanding different approaches to health. People are understanding how to take control of their minds. We're not going to be going to the antidepressants, the billion-dollar industries selling these perpetuating drugs that don't care about your real soul, that don't care about your real health or your recovery. People are going to be completely abandoning these, throwing them in the incinerator. No more. See, because tools of revolution are here and they're spreading and they cannot stop it from spreading. They cannot stop us. They cannot stop the free flow of information. They can't censor all of the truth that's coming up against them. And so people are going to be supporting more organic food. People are going to stop buying so much of the fake food that is touted as being healthy. All this fake rubbish. And what's going to happen is at the governmental level, people are going to be waking up. See, there's already a movement. Robert Kennedy Jr. making moves. People are not going to be eating the same chemical-laden food that the government has been allowing and sponsoring. You see, what does this all mean? Why hasn't the government been on top of all this? What does that mean? Are there dark forces in the government buying out and lobbying so that these laws can be kept in place? Is there conflict of interest? Who's in bed with who? And why hasn't it changed? You see, people are waking up, not just in terms of food and health. People are waking up in terms of what they're believing now, what they're seeking for now. You see, more and more people don't even think that they have to work for the man anymore. There's a movement there. So many people understand how to be their own boss now. That's a huge movement. So many people are learning how to meditate and take control of their own mind. That's a big movement there. So many people are seeking growth and education and advancement. So there's a movement there. So humanity is shifting in so many different ways. And what this means, we're only going to see what this really means in the next decades. We're alive during such an interesting, revolutionary time. You see, we had the movements of the industrial age and the revolution there. And then we had the movement of the internet age and the revolution there. But what we're moving into now is a revolution of human consciousness age. Some people think that as artificial intelligence. Some people think that as virtual reality. Now, that is going to change how people live their lives. But the real revolution that's happening, I declare to you, is that people themselves are changing in their consciousness. Deep down inside, how they feel about life and how they relate to one another. You see, all of these changes in technology, they just change our philosophy. But we've come to a place now where the convenience of the industrial age and the internet age has led us for hundreds of years into understanding, okay, you can increase the quality of life to a certain extent. Now what? Now what? Now that I have my comfort, my money, my independence, my freedom, my health, because I'm not deluded anymore about how to be any of these things in abundance. Once humanity has lived with all of these segments of life in abundance, where do we go after that? Do we move into a robot society where robots are doing everything for us? Do we move into a virtual reality society where we're all just creating fantasy dream images with our helmets and we're living in VR? Is that where we go? Or do people actually start to understand that within their own mind, they can create a fantasy and they can live out that fantasy? They can become more and more powerful of a creator. That's where I see people going. I see people understanding their consciousness. I see people learning meditation, yoga, Buddhism, Hare Krishna movement, Isha yoga. I see people delving in to how to create the experiences that they want within, to develop their minds, their psychic abilities. into becoming their own master so that they can have the confidence and the brain and intellectual power to create whatever they want, so that their emotions won't hold them back, so that their bad habits won't hold them back, so that their faulty, low-grade beliefs won't hold them back, their fear won't hold them back, but rather they'll be able to take control and feel whatever they want. They'll be able to feel the enthusiasm, the intellect, the beauty, the creativity, the drive, the energy, the compassion, the love, to be able to create this world into a wonderful masterpiece in every single way. I see more and more creativity coming from people creating more and more fantasies, animes, industries, and franchises that are taking over the world, that are making the world beautiful and making people happy. Think about it. Star Wars, Marvel, Pokemon, Disney, sports. Why do people love these things more than life itself? People go crazy as if they're religions. Because it's coming from a state of consciousness that is very creative, and it gets to create such beauty, such adventure, such marvelous, heroic strength of character in these stories that calls out to us. It's such a deep feeling, such a deep calling to become a hero. You know, it's like, why are people so into the hero movies? Why are people so into Star Wars? What does it all mean? People want this more than life itself. Why do people go so crazy about all of these stories? Why are people so crazy about Naruto and anime? Why is it making a global impact? Why are there millions and millions of fans who dedicate hours and hours and hours, and sometimes their lives, to knowing and learning and watching these fictional characters? What does this mean about human consciousness? What does this mean about what we really want? What does this mean about where we're going? What does this mean? Because we haven't had these things forever, have we? These things are beautiful, wonderful creations that humanity has blossomed into only in the past 100 years. We always had storytelling. This is true. But the ability to spread it into mass consciousness so easily and so widespread, and to archive it into episodes, into movies, that's never happened. And so we're reconnecting to the very essence of what the human spirit wants. Is growth, expansion, contribution, adventure, beauty, love, unexpected turns, unexpected creatures, unexpected sentiments, unexpected evolution of what you can actually be. You want to be a hero. What does that mean? You want to grow into something fantastic that is unlimited. Why do people go crazy about The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter? It's because it calls out to us realities that we know are true, that we can step into. I see people stepping more and more into this. I see people realizing their power more and more. I see people evolving in their hearts and in their character out of people that are just trying to survive day to day, people who are beaten down by the worries and cares of this world. I see people reaching deep and growing over the decades, over the centuries. This is the time where we become heroes, where we overthrow the greediness of the human spirit, where we squelch that out of society, where together we can create our own society. We're no longer slaves to the big greedy industries. We can create our own food. We can create our own farms. And you see it happening. We can vote for what we truly believe in. We can spread knowledge and information and education so that society changes. Now is our time where we can start creating human beings who take control. and produce better products for society that make better human beings than what is currently being served on the platter from the big, greedy companies. It's changing. Human beings are rising up in power. There's more opportunity than ever. Coalitions are happening. Everybody is becoming more heroic, more powerful, more autonomy towards what is truly better for the individual and for the society. It's happening. And they know it's happening. They're afraid. They're trying to keep us stupid. They're trying to keep us weak so that they can just use us. It's some weird, sick, twisted farm that they're trying to keep, and they want to be the headmasters of the cattle. But the cattle is actually no longer cattle. It's changing. Now is the time for revolution. And the beautiful thing is that I don't think it has to be a violent revolution. This revolution is happening just by innovation, just by bravery, intellect. It's a different spirit that people are living by, and it benefits everybody. And step by step, we're getting there. There's no need to despair anymore. People are going to be employed in more high conscious companies. More and more and more, the society is going to evolve and demand high consciousness products. And that will cause the industries and the businesses that provide those high consciousness services, foods, people to prosper. People are going to be voting for these things more and more. And whatever people demand and their dollar votes for, the big industries notice. We can starve them out, and it's happening bit by bit by bit. So slowly, those big companies are going to start losing their power. And so many brave men are making it happen, even from the top. You see, I'm talking about a grassroots movement so far. But you see, even from the top, there seems to be a decrease of power, a movement towards higher consciousness and what's right, towards healthfulness, towards banning toxic substances in the environment, in the food, in the medicine. New innovations are happening, and it's beyond what we've even imagined. So looking forward the next 10, 20, 30 years, it's going to be a good time to be alive. And if there do come challenges, if there do come catastrophes, there's always speed bumps along the road. There's always conflict. There's always a spiritual battle that's happening. There will be tribulation. There will be turbulence. How do you be ready for that? How are we ready for that? Preppers, hoarders, these people that try to prepare from the outside. That doesn't work. You can't have enough guns or traps or supplies. That's not how you're going to transcend these turbulent times. It never has been. See, the saints of old have always understood there's always going to be conflict between people trying to change the status quo from the hands of those that have power that are misusing their power, the tyrants. There's always going to be conflict. And as society moans and groans past these growing pangs, and as society morphs, and as we see where America really goes, we're going to see the true character of people. And the only way that you can really prepare is by changing yourself, is by looking inside, conquering your own shadows, developing your own character. We have to develop our strength of character. How needy are we? on things to be perfect on the outside. You see, how many insecurities have we worked through? How soft have we really gotten? You see, how strong is our character? For example, if a decline in the economy comes, how many people are just going to lose their minds just because they lose money? You know, over the centuries, when wars happen, when famines happen, when natural disasters happen, when economic declines happen, what do people do? How do people react? There's always a group of people that just crumble, but there's always a group of people who can endure. Well, how do you know if you're one of those people that can endure or if you're going to crumble? If you're just going to be a doughboy, a cream puff, how do we know? Well, we have to put ourselves through the fire when times are good. We have to really know who we are in hard situations because that's what shows who we really are. And the only way that you know is if you're challenging yourself consistently. So are you? Are we? Are we moving into new territory? Are we challenging ourselves with different varieties of challenges? Are we putting our ego into different situations to see how we truly react, and then based on that, make improvements? Constantly make improvements to your character. Why are we really here? This is what I mean when I say we're looking at our consciousness. We're creating our fantasy into reality. You see, a wise fantasy is a noble character. It may feel like a fantasy, but you can move into that. You can start developing that day after day after day. Start chipping away like an artist forming a sculpture that it might take 20 years, 30, 40, 50 years to make your Michelangelo's David, to make your Sistine Chapel. But if you're doing it over the decades, you'll know your strength of character is developing. You're not just learning, you're doing. Your heart, your ability to care, your ability to endure, your ability to be stoic, your ability to not fall apart if you don't get what you want, your ability to be cool and collected, whether you win or you lose. Nobody's already there. The only thing we can do is join arms with people who we know are doing it. And deep in our heart, we know whether or not we're challenging ourselves and growing. So, what I'm telling myself, and what I feel like people are realizing more and more and more, is that the only thing that matters, what we're really here for, is to strengthen our moral character. To become new men. That's the ultimate project. To overcome all of our weaknesses. To give ourselves to something wonderful and beautiful. The service of humanity in the best way that we possibly can. We are giving our hearts, developing our devotion, giving ourselves to this path. This is the way. And on and on and on we go. So that is what we're asking ourselves. Do we have that wonderful, beautiful devotion to something much greater, so much greater than where we are now? And are we already a piece of it? Giving ourselves day by day by day, no matter how it feels, getting better and better and better. Do we have that devotion to some greater cause in service of humanity? The love of that magnificent beauty that we can create this world into together. Do we have that vision? Or are we faltering and selfish and looking for our own advancement, our own glory, which would come anyways if we were committed and devoted to that wonderful vision, building a new kingdom? That's the true gift. That's the true way to grow. And together we help each other more and more and more. The more we bring each other up with these realistic services. I'm talking about when you go to the grocery store, the cashier with a good attitude, the person stocking the shelves with a good attitude, the positive thoughts that they have, the emotional health that they have, the physical health that they have, the food that they're eating, how you feel when you're in a Walmart. This is what I'm talking about. The brass tacks, personal interaction. What is the health of your neighbor? What is the health of the cashiers? What is the health of the taxpayers? What is the health of the accountants and the business people? Do they really care? Do they actually care? That's you, that's me, that's our neighbors, that's our coworkers, that's our colleagues. That is the true health of a society. And how we treat each other and do our jobs, how we feel about each other, our emotional health towards people matters. Our conversations towards each other matters. Whether we hate each other matters. Whether we can stand each other matters. Whether we think positive thoughts about each other matters. Whether we can forgive each other matters. Whether we're prideful and look down on people matters. Whether we appreciate every person that's doing their part in society matters. Whether you can forgive people who are hostile, cocky, prideful, stupid, matters. All of our attitudes matter. How we treat each other matters. How we look at each other matters. How we serve each other matters. How we spend our money matters. How we invest our sexual energy matters. How we treat the opposite sex, how we go about dating matters. Are we breaking hearts? Are we betraying? Are we using? It all matters. It's the societal zeitgeist. It's what forms how people respond and adapt to each other. See, we're all adapting and adjusting based on the other person's reaction, the other person's energy, the other person's philosophy, the other person's arrogance, pride, actions. You can sense it. It all matters. It's either hardening society or opening society. See, how we adapt to each other matters. If we're suspicious of each other matters. If we can trust each other, it matters. And what determines all of these things? The philosophies that we have, the approaches to life that we have, the sentiments and goals that we have towards each other. It's so easy to think that your own little personal life doesn't matter, that your actions don't matter, that your words don't matter. You feel like you don't make a difference. That's wrong. It matters. It counts. You might just feel like you're one cog in the machine, but without that cog, what happens? Sometimes the big industrial machine needs you for it to run and do its job. And if you don't believe in it, you leaving matters. You becoming part of something you believe in matters. What you invest your life into matters. How you date matters. How honest you are matters. Whether or not you steal matters. Lie matters. All of these cliche things, they matter. And so that's where we are. Back to the basics, huh? Working on our heart, working on our character, we're realizing that's where the gold really is. That's how you prepare yourself. That's how you truly face this world. You have to plant your roots in a firm foundation. I pray that this becomes realer and realer and realer to me and to you and to society, and that we can fulfill the purpose that we're here to strengthen our character, to understand more and more about the human spirit, to evolve higher and higher, to become more and more glorious in our hearts and in our spirit, to expand more and more into true intellect, contribution, enriching, and invulnerability towards the lower states, towards everything that you're going to have to face. You're going to face people that try to trigger you, steal from you, harm you, hate you, disrespect you, but you can become stronger and stronger and stronger and more invincible. And we can overcome these things. And we do it together. Listen. Words matter. You overcoming matters. Everything that you do matters. What would happen if there weren't people standing for these things, speaking these timeless truths? What would happen? If there weren't these pillars in society, these men who have overcome, who have developed these strong characters, who are working day in, day out for the betterment of society, we benefit in ways that we don't even understand from them. And everybody, all the good that you do, it matters. People might not pat you on the back or acknowledge you for it, but it's making a difference. It's making a big difference. You may not see it now, but it's all making life worth living. Every good thing, every normal thing, every service that a person does, it's making life worth living. It's giving people the opportunity to grow. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And if you look around, there's so much support. There's so much opportunity. There's so much love. But you have to recognize it. And you have to claim it as love. You have to see it as love. The fact that there's groceries that you can go to and buy, that's love. You may not see it as love, but that is a lovely society where you can easily purchase food. You buy something on Amazon and it appears at your doorstep. You may not see that as love because you don't connect it with somebody loving you, but that is the love of society that's giving you the opportunity to grow. You might have to understand the lack of it before you see it as love, but that is love. That's provision. It's a form of support. It's a form of growth. It's a form of potential. It's nourishment to you. And somebody was healthy enough to do that, and it benefited you. Somebody was healthy enough to make that business, to employ that person, and all the positive energy that went into the creation of that product, and it got to you. Somebody reached you with what you wanted. You see, you want food, you want services, you want products, and they're there, and they show up, and they help you. And if you can recognize it, you'll understand the love of society. Somebody had love enough to make that business, to make that product, to make that work desk, to make that microphone, to make that shirt for you. Somebody put energy into goodness. You see, all these products that you buy, you're admitting that they bring you life. And somebody had to create it. Somebody had to create and put in work, their life energy, their time to create that for you. And it got to you. They reached you with their service. They reached you with the life. And what would your life be like without it? But it reached you, and your life is better because of it. And your life is supported. All the simple things, your computer, your dishes, your household cleaning supplies, your food, it's reached you. Billions of people around the world don't have these things. It's reached you. It's love. Feel it. See, because if you create a business out of love and a product out of love, and if you started reaching hundreds of people with it, you'd recognize that's your love reaching them because you put your life into it, you put your creativity into it, you put your prayer into it, you risked to create this thing because you saw the benefit that it could bring people, and you put it into something good, something beautiful. You didn't put it into gambling. You didn't put it into creating a harmful product, a fake health project, a fake drug, a scam. You didn't do that. You made something that you genuinely knew would help the world and help somebody, and you reached them with it. That's a form of love. And there's so many things that we're benefiting in society because people like that have created products like that. There's so much potential. America is great because of that spirit. The integrity is holding us all together. And we're moving into it more and more and more. And it's a wonderful thing. And we're all able to encourage each other more and more into it. And it's a wonderful thing. And we're moving out of these lower consciousness scams. And society is changing. And we're in this together. And we can see each other as brothers and sisters and create wonderful things for each other. It's now more possible than ever. And so with that, onwards, forwards, higher and higher, with more and more vigor, commitment, passion, and lightness and happiness towards this brighter future together. Breaking through anything that might come in our way. Higher and higher. Even if it's secular, even if it's non-religious, higher and higher devotion to the betterment of humanity and the transformation of our character, higher and higher. These things exist, and the beauty of what we can become together is unknown. It's unknown. You can become something wonderful, something that is a mysterious creature, a true mystery. You can become a genius, a wonderful, beautiful, loving, understanding, patient, creative, abundant man and woman, loyal and pure, full of goodwill, a mother to the world, invulnerable to all the petty arrows that used to stab you. This is my hope, this is my prayer, this is my belief, this is my conviction, and this is the truth of what we're moving into. God bless you, and we'll speak soon.